Hey, what's up? It's Comic 95, the Savior. And I'm feeling much better than I was yesterday. I spoke to my dad a lot, spoke to my mom a lot, and honestly, I feel almost 100% okay. Um, I think mainly because I didn't talk to my dad today, and I had other things to focus on. So, yeah. I'm gonna just be completely honest with you guys and tell you right now, as you've already noticed, if you've been on my channel for a minute, I recently got monetized, which I'm happy about that. But there's a couple of problems. I honestly did not have any intention in having so many ads placed in my video, but I have it set, excuse me, where YouTube automatically does like mid-roll ads, which I did want, but I did not want like a million ads like every 2 seconds. So it was supposed to be where it automatically places them, but it appears as though there's too many. And guys, I have like nearly 200. I think I have more than 200 videos. So like, yeah, that's a lot to go back and manually fix. So I have two options: either accept less money or have some people pissed off for having to skip ads. So sorry, but that's not what this video is about. I just wanted to kind of chat to you guys about school. So as you can tell right now, it's evening. I took a shower. I am messy looking right now. My makeup, hair is messy. I know. But I just wanted to kind of like, I don't know, talk about something that I find bothersome. So I talked about this a little bit on Twitter, but I find it really bothersome that it seems like whenever, and I hate to keep talking about race, it seems like every video I've made recently has been about it, but I'm a Black woman, so it's kind of hard to pretend like my race does not impact my life. I wish it didn't. But I noticed that it seems like it's like you can't escape it. Like even without me mentioning my own race, it seems to constantly get brought up in my day-to-day life, including school. So I do, in all fairness, before I get started, I would give them the benefit of the doubt. I want to believe that it is a coincidence and that I just notice these things more because I am a Black woman. But regardless of what the reasoning is, I cannot deny the fact that I've seen this a lot, so I want to address it. I've been going to school online for a minute, not just because of this whole virus thing, but I work full time. So it's not possible for me to physically be in class unless it's in the evening. And even then, I work until the evening. So that kind of doesn't work for me either. But I noticed that in a lot of my classes, it seems like whenever they want to get a point across and use something as an example, it's always something negative that deals with Black people, whether it's direct or indirect. And it's like, I don't know, like, if the people that make this material for us to study and learn from realize this or not, but I'm offended as someone who's paying roughly $50,000 for this education, for this degree. Can you use other people as an example? Like, I'm not saying that you have to pretend like Black people are saints and they don't do anything wrong and they're angels and everyone's good. That is not what I'm saying, by far. If someone does something wrong, bad, illegal, I'm 100% for the person, being tried like anyone else, locked up, paying their fine. I'm all for that. But why do you have to specifically use Black people for every bad example you can think of? So, to give you an idea, I'm doing a project right now for my class where I have to write an argumentative essay or persuasive essay for a class that I'm taking. And while they're going over the different types of fallacies, I can't help but to notice that for one of the fallacies in particular, I forgot which one it was, guys, because there's like new fallacies I'd never heard of, to be totally honest, because I took this class before. I took a similar class before, but we only went over like 5 of the main ones. This class like goes over like sub fallacies. Like there's literally a list of like 20 or 30 of them, and I don't know that many of them off the top of my head. But anyway, this specific fallacy was where they were basically saying that because of someone's, because someone is a racist, basically, you cannot trust their word and their opinion on something. And so they were saying that it's a fallacy because someone being a racist has nothing to do with whether or not someone is a murderer. So the case they gave was a Black man is on trial, and he's guilty of murder, but his defense team finds out that the person that's trying him is said to be a racist. And he participates in, I cannot make this stuff up, you guys. And he participates in racist whatever. And the argument was saying that this is a fallacy because it doesn't matter what this guy who's, convicting him does in his spare time. It doesn't matter that he's a racist. It doesn't matter that he's prejudiced. You're still a murderer. And so don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, I totally understand. Yes, I agree. Murder is murder. It doesn't matter whether the other guy is racist in that sense. But I felt there's two issues. One, the timing is inappropriate. Do you not know what's going on in the world right now? And two, I actually disagree with that. This is just my opinion. I know I don't make books and I'm not responsible for English, but I say this as an English major myself, who's already graduated with a bachelor's in education English major. I completely disagree with that 150%. If you are a racist and you are judging me as a Black person, how the fuck am I supposed to have a fair trial? How is that supposed to be fair? How can I trust that you're going to do it, legitimately and honestly? A good example is, we call it conflict of interest, is what we call it in the workplace. For example, in the US, Japan doesn't work this way, sadly, but in the US, you're not supposed to be allowed to, manage someone that you are related to in any type of way, or that you are dating and or even friends with. Because the problem is, if you have some type of romantic or family tie to this person, you're not going to judge them fairly in comparison to everyone else. They can get away with things like being late. They can work their way up by doing favors for you, whatever the case might be. It's not fair to the other employees. When it comes to things like management, raises, etc., of course you're going to favor your wife or your brother or your sister or your cousin over some random Joe that you just hired. So I'm thinking to myself, if that's not considered as a fallacy, then how the fuck is someone being racist not considered as something that makes sense, a good argument? So again, that has nothing to do with the class. But because they chose the statement, and all of my classmates are pretty much white and Asian, I want to fucking speak up about that. So excuse my language, but I'm like debating right now. It's like, do I go and complain to my professor? Do I want to go and complain to the principal? And then I kind of feel like stuck. It's like, do I say something, get nothing resolved, nothing done, and just seem like, a butthurt, Black person, whatever, which unfortunately is always the case? Or do I speak my mind and say like, hey, of course I'm going to be professional, you guys. I'm ranting to you. I'm upset. Or do I just, say like, hey, like, I don't feel like this is appropriate. Like, for starts with the movement and stuff that's going on right now. And FYI, guys, this is not anything new. Police have been killing us. We've been getting unfair treatment. We just didn't have social media and all of these trends and hashtags and sites to share it on. This has always been happening. It's nothing new. But yeah, I feel like it's not going to go anywhere considering the people that are over the class and over the school. But I'm hurt by it because, again, you could use any example in the world. Why the fuck do you choose that one? Like, for real? And to me, it says that whoever is over it that, gave that, they're secretly pushing in their own opinion on what they think about these things. I don't like that. So then there was another class that I took recently too, which again, I let this one slide, but where it was the case of that journalist from the New York Times, which this is a real life situation, which makes this one more difficult, where he, messed up the image of journalism by being dishonest. And so the argument went from, this one Black guy being in a position where he got this job where he was unqualified to bring up a whole argument about affirmative action. And so I really hate this as a Black person. And for those of you that aren't Black, please hear me out on this. I'm not trying to cry and complain and, say, oh, well, that's just one Black person, whatever. That's not even like my point. My point is, why is it that whenever we do anything bad, it's looked at under a magnifying glass? If one person fucks something up, our whole program, our whole movement, everything becomes illegitimate. It's not right. How is that remotely fair? Isn't that a fallacy within itself too? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So if one person screws something up, one person abuses the system, it's no longer good. And so I felt really strongly about that too. And so when we've had debates about affirmative action in the past, I remember there being white people in my class, basically, and they openly said, like, they don't like the idea of it and giving their parents' opinion on it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, guys, y'all don't understand how affirmative action works. It doesn't guarantee that you get a job. It doesn't guarantee that you get money, that you get, into school that you shouldn't be in. It doesn't do any of that stuff. They're only legally required to consider a certain amount of people of color. And even when these schools, companies, and places do that, you guys, look at how small the percentage of people actually get hired. Do you know how I became a pharmacy technician? I tried to become a pharmacy tech for over a year, or about a year. And I got my job at a company where I was the only token Black person that they hired. I was unqualified, had zero experience, no certification, nothing. They took a chance on me. You want to know why they did it? It was because of meeting that stupid quota. And I found out indirectly. Are they going to tell you that? No. But that's exactly how I got it. My mother, for example, she kept failing her nursing exam even though she did everything perfectly. This is back in the day. You want to know what percentage of her class passed? Exactly 10% of her class, which I believe was the requirement back then. It was either 8 or 10%. So exactly enough people to meet the, quota, whatever they needed to have. That is not how it works. You don't just get free stuff because you're owed it. Without this, there's so many jobs, so many companies, so many places we would never be able to step foot into these fields. Because you all might think, oh, well, I'm not racist, I'm not whatever. You should see how your people that you think aren't racist are when they're in a position of power where they have the ability to choose between hiring a person of color or someone who's not. And everyone plays the I don't see color game. I hire people based off of qualifications. Even if that is remotely true, when you're given the choice between a Black and a white person, or a Black and whoever person with the same qualifications, same educational background, you will almost always unconsciously or subconsciously, whatever you want to call it, choose the other person. That's how it's even been for me. I've literally, even being here in Japan, I've been in situations my entire life where the job was given to someone else with less experience, but they just conveniently happened to be a different race. Gee, I wonder if it had something to do with the fact that, I don't know, I'm not non-Black. So everyone say like the whole race card thing and say, oh, you're not qualified. Well, for the work that I do, I'm generally overqualified. So in almost every circumstance, when I am given the job or, not given the job over someone else, it almost always has something to do definitely with race. And people don't like to hear that because they want to believe it's every other option before then. And I'm not saying every time I don't get a job, that's the case. I've literally made videos where I talked about the fact that I've done some really horrible things during interviews where I completely messed up. I was awkward. I was weird. I forgot what to say, forgot what to do. Totally understand in those situations. And there's times where there are people that are more qualified than I am. So I can't complain for that stuff. But at the same time, I'm not going to deny the fact that there are situations where I see people get stuff that they shouldn't get, they're not qualified for because of their race. And so I'm not going to get into the whole talk about that, but more so I'm bothered by the fact that it seems like these schools, they push in little topics, little informational things, whatever, to make debates. And it's like, if y'all want to have a debate, talk about your own stuff. Talk about Asian and white issues. Quit bringing my race in the shit. Y'all want to have something good to argue about for essays? Talk about y'all white people stuff. Talk about y'all Japanese and Korean stuff. Don't bring in Black people. Talk about y'all own shit. Because it's really interesting that you only choose to talk about Black people when you want to talk about something negative, when you want to bring up a discussion, an argument, a debate. For starts, it's insensitive and rude to me, especially since I'm the only Black person in your class. And secondly, it's insulting. You don't care about Black rights, Black movements, anything that has to do with, positive things for Black people, but you love taking advantage of the opportunity to talk about the bad things about the Black community, the bad things about Black rights. You don't talk about the good journalists that are Black, the honest ones. You want to bring up a debate, not only about a rogue journalist. You turn that discussion into a talk about affirmative action. Like, what the fuck? And so I don't even know like where to start, like I said. But to be honest, again, while that part did kind of piss me off, I was more upset by the example with the fallacies. You could have used any other fallacy to get your point across. Why do you choose one where conveniently it is a Black man up against a racist white guy who's convicting him of murder? And again, this situation becomes tricky because, like I said, it's not real. They're just giving an example. But even the example, I actually believe is wrong, and that doesn't make it a fallacy based on what they just said. You have a conflict of interest, for lack of a better word. If you are a racist, you're a member of the KKK, white supremacist, whatever you want to be, you don't like Black people, you shouldn't be a cop, you shouldn't be a judge, you shouldn't be a lawyer, you shouldn't be whatever you are, a prosecutor. That should not be your job because you have bias. You're not going to judge me fairly because you've already decided before you even met me that you don't like people like me. You don't believe people like me. Everyone that is convicted of murder, of doing something bad, wrong, illegal, is not guilty, might I add. People get sent to prison all the time, especially Black people, for shit they didn't do. So to be totally honest, that whole argument is flawed within itself. So it just got me like so worked up. So I can go on forever talking about that. But long story short, like, what's you all's opinion? Be totally honest with me. Do you feel like I'm overreacting? Or do you feel like I have a point? And I'm probably not even phrasing this completely right, like I said, but I promise you these are not the only two situations. These are just the most recent ones that, have gotten to me. But I noticed this is like an ongoing thing. I took a Japanese American history class, and once again, white guy in my class. Well, weren't the Black Panthers also, terrorists, whatever? And it's like, oh my God, oh please. And so, of course, the people that are over these classes, they don't know shit about Black people or Black history. So they're kind of left like, oh, I don't know, it's whatever you think, nonchalant type thing. And so, again, for starts, it's insulting and offensive to me. And it's ironic because let me start a class where I talk about Asian history and call Japanese people out for the shit they did to Korea, Chinese, and the Philippines. And they'll lose their shit and tell you how it's wrong and you shouldn't be doing this and blah, blah, blah. Go back to your home country. But very interesting. They take so much interest, not just Japanese, white people too, because remember, these are American schools too. They take so much interest in what's going on with Black people, though. They love using it for debates, love using it for strategic, whatever talk. And then it's like you're throwing in your opinion into the lesson too. Because your opinion about affirmative action doesn't have anything to do with my persuasive essay. Your opinion about what makes a lawyer or a prosecutor, his opinion, his judgment valid, has nothing to do with this class. Why would you throw that in there for us to read? And so it really hurts me because for a lot of these people, they don't know Black people. They don't have Black friends, nothing. And it's like any example you gave would have been fine. And so even for myself, I'm not blinded. I don't love my race so much that I cannot allow somebody Black to go to prison, jail, whatever. There's Black crooked cops. So that has nothing to do with it. But again, while yes, I agree the person, if he is legitimately a murderer, yeah, he is, and he deserves to go to prison. Doesn't change that fact. But in all fairness and in all honesty, that is a problem. Your prosecutor should not be a racist when you are Black. And really, there shouldn't be a racist, period. But that's definitely an example of an unfair case. Just like how you would say it is an unfair case if, the prosecutor, judge, I don't know all the names of that stuff, you guys, if they were to be your family member. Well, of course, they're going to say you're innocent. It would be the same situation, conflict of interest. So it just amazes me. And so, of course, the professor didn't say anything about it. This is material for us to read in our own time, but we're required to read it for this, week's assignment. I'm going to get over it. So anyway, give me your opinion. What do you think? Am I overreacting? Do you think, oh, it's just in some whatever, or do you feel like I do have a right to be upset? Because again, I'm the only Black person. This has nothing to do with my work. I'm not taking, I've taken this class before, and in that class I would understand, understanding race, ethnicity, and gender class. That's not the case with this. This is a completely separate class in which we're supposed to choose a topic, which nothing that has to do with race was listed as a topic, might I add, because they knew not to go there. They had like 15 different topics we could choose from to write a persuasive essay on, from women's rights to having a standardized wage to all these other different topics. None of those topics were on race. So why is all of the material that you're giving us to read about, to learn about argumentative essays based on Black people, specifically negative things? Everything is about them being a criminal, about them being a terrorist, everything that you have. Why are we learning this way? And so again, for myself, I am an American, I am a Black woman, I am a Christian. I have balance and I know what is and isn't true because of my own bias. I am Black, so I can relate to this. But for the people that don't know Black people, the people that aren't American in my class, what type of image are you painting of me? How do you not see that there's a problem with this? I wouldn't even think to do that. I would never make a class where my entire class is about teaching everybody about how evil white people are or about how evil Asian people are. How do you not see that this is offensive and insulting to me? So, all right, guys, I'm done. This conversation going forever. I'll be fine. Just needed to rant. I needed to clear my head because I could not. I literally stopped my assignment after I read that. I was thinking did they seriously just say that? So I hate opinionated pieces when they come from racists. You're just telling on yourself. You might as well just say, I'm tired of hearing, about racial issues with Black people. I don't believe in this. Racism doesn't exist. It doesn't, somebody could be a racist and that's their choice, whatever, which is true. But if you do choose to be a racist, you should not be working in certain fields. You shouldn't be a teacher. You shouldn't be doing anything that deals with law. Anything that has you dealing with people, you should not have a job doing. If you're a racist, you shouldn't have a job, period, because you don't deserve one. But you most certainly should not be working with the public, especially not when your choices or you as a person, you have the ability to choose between someone's freedom, their life or death. I don't want a racist doctor working on me. I don't want a racist lawyer handling my case or a racist judge or prosecutor. I don't want you handling my stuff because there's going to be bias right there. How do you not see that? So, I'm done, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Don't want my rant. Tell me what you think. What's your opinion? Be honest, okay? And I will see you later.